Looks like we got a bunch of folks jumping on the call. Adam, how are you?
Doing amazing, sir. Hope you are.
I am doing terrific. Glad you could make it. Give everybody just a moment to jump on. And then we're going to talk about million-dollar habits, what it takes to create the habits of somebody making $1 million or more a year. While we're waiting, anybody have any questions or challenges I can help you with? Right. Well, let's go ahead and jump in. So, of course, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, I'm Gordon Watson with Watson Powers Coaching, and glad to have this opportunity to share with you guys today. So I've had the benefit of coaching real estate agents full-time now for 29 years. Most of the people that I coach at this particular stage of my career either have a goal of $1 million a year or already making $1 million a year. That doesn't mean if you're not there that I wouldn't be interested in helping you, because of course I'd be glad to help anybody. But I think you guys are on this call because you're trying to figure out, all right, what's in common? What does it take to make that kind of income, a 7-figure income? Now, there's some of you that are clients of ours that are like, gee, Gordon, if I made $1 million a year, I'd be a cut and pay. Okay, well, what the things I'm going to be covering with you today work whether you're trying to get it to $2, $3, $4 million a year. But let's first of all, let's talk about the process. From the time that we get in the real estate business, what happens? Well, to get ourselves motivated to begin with when we first start real estate is really not that difficult, because we're typically motivated by, how do we pay our bills? How do we survive? I mean, most of us, took the jump from another job where we were making a salary and covering expenses. So, okay, now we're going to step into real estate, and it's a commission-based business, and I'm scared to death. And it's that fear and that anxiety that pushes you and drives you to get out there and hustle and do what you need to do to make the kind of money you need to make to cover your bills and survive and stay afloat. And then what happens, guys, and I want you to really think about the evolution of this. Then what happens is, as you figure out how to make enough, let's say it's 25 sales a year. At 25 sales a year, you're staying afloat, you're doing what you need to do. But what happens then is you start to settle in to that level of production. And as you start to settle in, as you start to settle in, you start to create habits. You start to create routines of the way you do things, because I think all of us recognize that real estate is a very repetitive business. It's doing a lot of the same things over and over and over again. Well, we create habits around that initial level of production. Then we wonder why we set goals to increase our production, but it's like we keep hitting a ceiling and we're having a hard time really pushing ahead to that next level. Because for most of us, guys, that next level is going from meeting my bills to now, how do I start to get into abundance? How do I start to experience excess? That's the fun part. But it's way, way harder to motivate yourself to that next level. So what happens is we're doing 20, 25 deals a year, and we say, okay, I'm going to take it up to 40 deals a year. But the problem is that we still maintain the same habits that we had when we were doing 25. And I want you to recognize that your production, whatever level you're at right now, is a reflection of the habits that you have. Your production is a reflection of your habits. So if you're going to change your production, you've got to start to identify and change your habits. So let's talk about, what are some of these habits and how do they need to change? All right, so everybody, I want you to write down the first habit, and that is pre-qualifying. Pre-qualifying. See, when you're doing 20, 25 deals a year, you're pre-qualifying people to not lose the appointment. You've got that appointment now. You don't want to lose. So you don't want to ask the tough questions. You don't want to ask the questions that you really need to ask to determine, is this the best use of my time? Is this the best use of my time? Or another way to look at it is maybe not that may, I know that sounds kind of selfish, but let's be honest, to some degree, we have to be somewhat selfish because what we're selling is our time. But the other thing we've got to recognize is if we're not qualifying people properly, and so we're spending time with the wrong people, then that means the right people, the people who really do need our help, don't get the benefit of working with us. So somebody who's doing a lower level of production, they're qualifying to not lose the appointment. Okay. Now, I want to give you guys a script. And I bet you that nobody, unless you were at the Edge earlier this month, you have probably never been given this script. And this is a script on how to turn down an appointment. How about that one, Jake? How to turn down an appointment. How many times have we found ourselves going out on appointments because we set the appointment and we didn't know how to get out of it? And so we said, heck, I'll just go. And then you get out there and you're like, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I am such an idiot. Anybody besides me ever have that conversation? Okay. So here's the script. Very simple. Based upon our conversation, I don't believe I'm going to be able to help you, but I wish you the very best. Simple. Based upon our conversation, I don't believe I'm going to be able to help you, but I wish you the very best. Now, some of you that have trouble with confrontation, you're going to have to practice this one, but you've got to realize that your lack of ability to turn down appointments is costing you to waste a lot of time. And if you want to be that person that's out there making $1 million a year, and I bet you that there's nobody that has a goal, hey, I want to make $1 million a year and I want to work 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. That's my goal. I bet you nobody on this call has that as a goal. No, the goal is how do I make $1 million plus a year and have a quality of life so I can enjoy my family, so I can enjoy my hobbies, so that I can enjoy the things that that kind of income will result in. So then our habits have to change. We've got to get better at qualifying so that we're spending time with people who can actually sign contracts. So one of the questions that I teach my team to ask a buyer, and I want you guys to write this down because it's a wonderful buyer question. Write this down. If the home or homes we are getting ready to see meet your expectation, do you plan to submit an offer? Okay. Somebody says, hey, I'd like to see this listing at 123 Easy Street. Terrific. I'd be glad to show it to you. Are you available this afternoon? Yeah. Terrific. What time would you like to see it? Can we see it at 3 o'clock? Fantastic. Let's plan on 3 o'clock. So when we get to take a look at this home, if it meets your expectations, if it looks as nice as you expect it to look based upon the pictures, do you plan to submit an offer? Well, you're going to get one of three answers to that question. Number one is yes, we do, which is a great answer. Or they may say, I'm not sure. In which case, we're going to respond back and say, what would determine if you did or didn't? What would determine if you did or didn't? And they may say, well, I'm waiting to find out whether my job transfer is going to go through or not. I haven't got it in writing as of yet. I'm waiting on that. Okay, great. Or the answer could be no, we don't. In which case we would respond with, may I ask why not? And depending upon whether they give you an answer that's reasonable or not, you have to make a judgment call because your response may be, you know what? based upon our conversation, I don't believe I'm going to be able to help you, but I wish you the very best. Do you mean you're not going to show me the house? No. Why would I show you the home if you're not prepared to buy? Well, because we just want to look. There's plenty of agents out there that'd be more than happy to let you just look. And I wish you the very best. Okay. Listen, there's a lot of people that have a goal to make $1 million a year. There's not a lot of people that are willing to do what it takes. Your ability to properly qualify and your ability to get out of bad appointments is a skill and a habit that you have to develop. Secondly, what's another skill? What's another habit that your $1 million earners have? Okay, your $1 million income earners are always working on trying to get just a little bit better. Every day, just a little bit better. I want to learn every day. I want to grow. And one of the techniques that I'm going to use for that is a technique we call journaling. Journaling. Okay, what is journaling? At the end of the day, you take a moment and you break out your journal and you write in there, what did I do well today? Find a win. It may be a little win. It may be, hey, I canceled a bad appointment today and I was okay with it. And then where could I have improved? Okay, what did I do well today? And where could I have improved? Now, guys, this is not the time to beat the crap out of yourself. This is not, the thing you want on your mind before you go to bed is all the things you did wrong that day. No, 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 no. Take a second and just reflect. Where could you have done better? And what did you do well? And we want to learn from these things so that we can start to adapt. See, many times the habits that we have, we're not even aware that we have them until we take a careful look introspectively and we break it down and say, okay, why did I do this? Why did I do that? So you got to stop and you got to become consciously aware of what you're doing well and where you need to improve. I'd also recommend with your journaling that you start off every morning with that same journal, writing down your goals and affirmations. Because people who are $1 million income earners, they're constantly thinking about what it is that they need to do. So the third quality that they have is the ability to simplify their focus. Okay, write that down, number 3. So the first one's qualifying, second one is journaling, third one is simplifying their focus. We can look at all sorts of recognized authors and they all have a similar message, and that is you become what you think about. You get what you're looking for. Your predominant thoughts are what become your reality. Earl Nightingale says in The Strangest Secret, okay, that you become what you think about most of the time. So somebody who is making $1 million a year, for some of you that are down there still at the 20-25 deal a year range, you're thinking, Gordon, I don't know that I believe this. Well, this is one of those things you're just going to have to take on faith for right now. That person that's making $1 million a year is not working as hard as that person that's doing 20-25 deals a year. And that guy that's doing 20-25 deals a year is involved in more activities. They're doing more things. See, when you're making a 7-figure income, you have become to realize where your time is best spent. And you're excellent at delegating activities and tasks that need to be done, but just not done by you. See, a bad habit that will keep you down, that will keep you from earning that $1 million, is to continue to justify and rationalize for yourself why you need to be doing such and such. You need to be involved in a certain activity. Because it's a method of creative avoidance. If I'm doing this, then I don't have to be doing that. So that person making $1 million a year, they're focused on the activities that are going to generate that level of income. They are doing fewer things, but the things that they are doing are higher dollar activities. They're, for example, they're prospecting. They're doing lead follow-up. They're making presentations to highly qualified buyers and sellers. They may or may not be negotiating contracts. I know back when I was in full-time production, I had my assistant do that for me. I never went to closings. My assistant went to closings. Oh my God. You mean you didn't go to the closing? No, I didn't go to the closing. Well, didn't your customers get upset? No, they didn't get upset. Why didn't they get upset? Because let's just take a second and talk about customer service for a second. You might look at that and say, well, gee, Gordon, isn't that bad customer service? No, because I want you guys to look at customer service in two ways. There's two philosophies behind customer service. Number one, identify what your customers' expectations are and then meet or exceed their expectations. That is one method. That's not the method that I use. The second method is to create your client's expectations for them and then meet or exceed them. Okay. I'm going to create the expectations. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, this is what you can expect from me, and this is why. And this is how it benefits you. Okay. So I'm going to create those expectations. And one of those expectations is going to be, I will not be at the closing. One of those expectations is going to be, hey, you can call me and ask me about the file, but all I'm going to do is hang up and call my assistant, or you can just call my assistant directly. Here's her name and phone number. These are the ways that $1 million income earners operate. All right, let's look at the next point. One of the things, guys, that is holding you back, for those of you that have a goal and you're chasing that goal of making $1 million a year and you're continuing to fall short, it's because you do not know how to talk to yourself. Man, I don't know what's wrong with me. I suck at the listing presentation. Man, I am terrible when it comes to pre-qualifying. And I hate prospecting. Oh man, if I've got to look at another lead, it's going to drive me nuts. And all you're doing when you say these negative things is you are speaking to your subconscious mind. Just imagine the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between fact and fiction. Your subconscious mind always wants to make you right. So if you say, you know, I suck at listing presentations, then your subconscious mind is going to make sure that you keep sucking at listing presentations. I'm no good at this. I'm terrible at that. I can't do this. I can't do that. You've got to be so dadgum careful, guys, about what you allow to come out of your mouth. Because as soon as you start speaking negative things, you are telling yourself, this is how I need to behave, as though this is true. Instead, replace it with positive things, positive affirmations. Speak the truth, speak the reality that you want to create. I am great at this. I do this well. I am this. I am that. I do this. I do that. and watch your subconscious mind make that your reality. People who are making $1 million or more per year control what comes out of their mouth. You have to realize as soon as you open your mouth, you're programming yourself. How do you want to program yourself? What is it that you want to believe? Everything follows a belief. Everything starts with a thought. If you're going to make $1 million a year, it's got to start with a thought. When Napoleon Hill says that what the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. You conceive it through creating a thought. This thought entered my mind that I can make $1 million a year. And now I'm working on creating the belief that I can make $1 million a year. And as I believe it, then I can achieve it. So control what comes out of your mouth. That's a habit. Some of you are in a bad habit of criticizing yourself all the time. Stop it. You're killing your production. Stop it. Become your biggest fan. Say positive things about yourself. Compliment yourself. Now, I'm not talking about being arrogant and egotistical. No, 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 no. I didn't say go out and tell the world, I'm wonderful. Oh, look at me. No, no. I'm talking about that person looking back at you in the mirror. What kind of a conversation are you having with that person? You've got to become your biggest fan. Next point. You want to make $1 million or more a year, there's two things that you have to learn to control. And that is you have to learn to manage your time and manage your what? Emotions. You've got to learn to manage your time and you have to learn to manage your emotions. See, if you think about this wonderful business that we're in, there's a lot of good things that happen and there's bad stuff that happens. Hey, the more listing appointments you go on, the more often you're going to get turned down. The more sales you put together, the more deals are going to fall apart. All that stuff's a reality. And if you can't manage your emotions and you let these things that come along that's just part of the business, if you let them rock you and knock you off kilter, you are not going to ever make that level of income. You've got to learn to manage your emotions. Okay, Jamila, I saw your question. Thank you for asking. She says, how do you manage your emotions? Well, it comes back to the previous point. And that is number one, you control what comes out of your mouth. And the second thing that I would tell you, okay, is you control your thoughts. Okay, so Michael Slackish, I see my good friend Michael on there. Unmute yourself. I want to ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Okay, married or single?
Married.
Married. Okay, good. All right, so how long have you been married, Mike?
5 years.
5 years. All right, for all you men, pay close attention here. Listen to me. So, Mike, when you got married to your wonderful wife, did all the pretty girls in this world disappear?
Of course. No, they did not.
They, as a matter of fact, they multiplied is the reality of what happened. Okay, as all of a sudden they multiplied. So listen, when you're a single guy, okay, hey, the world, all the pretty girls out there, they're all fair game. But as soon, and if you're not doing this, Mike, take some advice from an old guy here, all right? I know you are because you're a great guy. But as soon as you get married, okay, then all of a sudden, do all of a sudden you not notice pretty girls anymore?
They're always there.
They're always there. Okay. However, You change your thoughts. When you're single, you might say, hey, I'm going to go up and talk to that girl. I'm going to make conversation with that girl. But when you're married, rules change. Does that mean that you flipped a switch and they all go away? No. You guys follow me on this point? You make a conscious choice. You make a conscious choice. That's the same thing, Jamila, in how to manage your emotions. You're making a conscious choice. Okay, I'm going to choose how I react. So here's the thing. We can't control the first thought that comes into my mind. Oh, there's a pretty girl. I can't control that. I saw it. I thought she was pretty. But now I can control the second thought, and I can control how I dwell on it or not. I've learned, hey, if I want to have a healthy marriage, I better not dwell on that thought. Better let it go. Same thing in business, guys. You go out there and you give a killer listing presentation and you find out that your competitor is the one that got it. And you may get aggravated for a second, but a mature $1 million income earner, they take a second and they reflect back on, what did I learn from that? What could I have done differently? And hopefully you get a chance to actually talk with that seller and ask them why they chose somebody else. I would always do that, if given the opportunity. But you take a second, you learn from it, and then you quit beating yourself up. It's a law of averages. You are not going to win them all. And if you are winning them all, you're not taking enough chances. I can tell you that. Nobody should ever have 100%, listing presentation to listings taken ratio. If you do, then you're not going on enough presentations. Okay. So manage your time, manage your emotions. Somebody who is earning $1 million a year, they've got a lot more stuff going on in their life, but they have also learned the habit of how to control their thoughts and how to manage their emotions so they can deal with more stuff. There's some of you that it doesn't take anything at all until you're in a situation of overwhelm and breakdown because you can't manage your thoughts, you can't manage your emotions. And until you get a handle on that, you will never grow. That $1 million is just a fantasy. If you want that fantasy to become a reality, learn to manage your time, learn to manage your emotions. And the final thought that I'm going to share with you guys, and there's so many that I could have added to this list, so many, but I think these are some of the most important that I'm sharing with you today. A $1 million income earner has the ability, they have developed the skill of visualization. They've developed a skill of visualization. You have got to learn how to constantly keep the things that you want on your mind. You have to have the ability to focus and block out, because listen, guys, this world is so dadgum noisy. You guys know what I mean when I say that. And here lately, it's become even more noisy. There's so many voices and all this negative and all this crap. I mean, listen, it doesn't matter on this call whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. It doesn't matter. We all used to like each other at one time. Now all of a sudden, can't stand each other. What the heck? We're still the same people. Just noise, 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 noise. You got to be able to visualize the outcome that you want. I have a daughter who is actually now pregnant with my first grandson. I have 4 granddaughters. Now she's pregnant with my first grandson. And she was a high level gymnast. She was a level 10. For those of you that understand gymnastics, she was a level 10. Next level beyond that, they call it elite, which is Olympic caliber. And she would always visualize her performances before she went out there and did the performance. And I'll never forget, I don't know if anybody's ever tried to actually walk on a balance beam, but if you've never tried, it's not as easy as it looks. It's only 4 inches wide. And she was able to do incredible things on this balance. I mean, back flips and all this crazy stuff, jumping to a blind, going backward. Just imagine flipping backwards where you can't even see the beam and landing it. And I remember asking her, I said, how do you do that? And she says, your body follows your eyes. Now think about that. Your body, if you look right, your body starts to go off to the right. If you look left, your body starts to go off to the left. Some of you can relate to that in driving. You know, I was driving down the road the other day and there were a bunch of deer off to the side of the road. I'm looking at the deer and the next thing I know, my car is veering in the direction of the deer. I didn't do that consciously. It just happened. So your body tends to follow your eyes. So $1 million income earner is great at visualizing what it is they want so that everything starts to move in that direction. But those of you that are still trapped at those lower levels of production, I bet you if you stop to ask yourself, what are you focusing on? What are you thinking about? What are you visualizing? It's probably compatible with where you are right now in your production. And if you're not happy with where you are, change it. Change it. So before I wrap up this call today, if anybody has any questions, hopefully I've stimulated some thought today. If anybody has any questions, unmute yourself and jump in. And I also want you to write down my email is Gordon with 2 O's, Gordon, Gordon at excuse me, that's my company, at Watson Powers, Gordon at watsonpowers.com. Email me any questions and I'll be glad to answer. So unmute yourself. If you have any questions, fire away and I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Hey, Gordon, I appreciate it. This is Aaron Monza.
Yes, Aaron.
Quick question in regards to simplifying focus.
Yes.
We talk about delegating things and focusing on the things that are going to generate income.
Right.
At what point do we analyze that and then start to delegate?
So, okay, it's a great question. So you've got it. I think you're saying at what stage of your business do you start to delegate more? Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So I've had people come to me and say, listen, I'm brand new in the business. Should I hire an assistant? And my answer, Aaron, is always, if you have the finances and the ability to do it from day one, do it from day one. Okay. As soon as you are financially in a position where you can delegate, and for those of you that aren't quite there, or that's your goal, I'm going to give you an exercise. Determine what you would have to pay an assistant and set aside 3 months worth of that salary into a separate account. Once you've saved 3 months salary, then go out and hire the assistant. Okay. But Aaron, it's not cut and dry as to when, but the sooner the better. The sooner the better, because there's so many things that have to be done in this business, but they don't necessarily have to be done by you. And the quicker that you start focusing on the higher income activities, the quicker your income is going to go up. Does that answer your question, Aaron?
It does. I appreciate it. Thanks, Gordon.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Good question. Thank you. Other questions?
Hey, Gordon.
Yes, Adam.
Thank you for this. Confrontation, that's always been a weakness for me.
Sure.
Is there steps to work yourself out of that? I mean, minus putting yourself in it.
Sure. So first of all, there's certain personality styles that have a harder time confronting than others. But here's what happens, Adam. We tend to have conversations with ourselves. Okay. Like if we tend to think, if I say this is what they're thinking, this is how they're going to react, here's what's going to happen. And we're playing the whole scenario out in our minds, when in fact, that's not the case at all. In most cases, what you're imagining is not the case. Okay. Think about this, Adam. Let me throw this question out at you. What is the one thing that all fear has in common?
maybe the unknown, possibly.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. The unknown. That's the answer. The unknown. And so the key to dealing with fear, because that's kind of what we're talking about with confrontations, fear of confrontation. The way to deal with fear is to make the unknown known. Can I give you an example? I bet you that everybody on this call at some point in their life has seen the movie Jaws. Okay? Probably everybody's seen the movie Jaws. So I want to take you to the opening scene of the movie Jaws. So the star, the hero, is in a scuba suit and he's diving down to the bottom of the lagoon, and there's the sunken fishing boat with a big gaping hole in the side of the fishing boat. And of course, as you get closer to the boat, what do you hear? Dun 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 dun. And we all know the music. When you hear the music, what's coming? The shark. So he gets down to the hole, and instead of the shark popping out, it's the dead body. And everybody, the whole theater screamed, ah. Okay. Well, most of us have probably seen Jaws more than once because every time you turn the TV on, it's on some channel. So the next time, Adam, you go to watch that scene and there's a scuba diver going down to the boat, well, now you know what's going to happen. Now, when it happens, do you get a little startled? Maybe a little bit, but nowhere near like the first time, because now the unknown is known. So what I would tell you is recognize that dealing with confrontation is part of the growth that you need to have. I can tell you, you're not going to make $1 million a year if you don't learn how to deal with some confrontation. Okay. So you've got to recognize, okay, I either want to, I have to figure out which one is worse, not ever achieving my goal of making $1 million or learning to deal with confrontation. And hopefully it's not ever making the $1 million and you're willing to overcome what you need to overcome to get there, which means you're going to have to step out and start practicing confrontation. But listen, guys, confrontation does not mean anger. Confrontation does not imply out of control emotions. It doesn't. Okay. So you got to study and learn how do I confront? Just like I said, turning down those appointments. If somebody says to you, well, you mean you're not going to show me that house? No, I'm sorry. I can't. It'll be okay. Trust me. And the more you do it, the easier and easier it gets. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes.
Gordon. Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
Sir.
No, Mike. Who else was it? Oh, Jamila. Hi.
Yeah,
Go
me.
ahead, Jamila.
So for me, sometimes I go on these appointments just like because you just need it so bad, and even and they're horrible appointments. Or I do get the contract, but they're horrible stuff. Like I'm just thinking like, am I attacking these because I'm a little bit like nutty? But I'm like the sellers that I get, they really mess with my emotions, and they're FISBOs, right? And they won't like I don't know, they're just nutty. And I'm just like, what am I?
So I want to make sure I'm hearing you well. You're a little bit muffled. But what I think I understand you to say is you're going on some horrible appointments, and most of them have been FISBOs.
So the appointments that I go on are not the best appointments because they're FISBOs, and I go because like you're desperate for that appointment or that contract.
Right.
And when I do get that contract, they're really the worst, like sellers.
Think about this, Jamila. How many times have you gone on one of those appointments that turned out to be a bad appointment and you were completely shocked? Probably not. You probably knew before you went that it wasn't the greatest of appointments, or you didn't ask any of the pre-qualifying questions. I'll put it that way. Okay.
Yeah,
So
like I feel like I already know ahead of time that they're gonna be something with them.
I'll tell you, probably the biggest reason why we go on unqualified appointments is because we don't have enough confidence in ourselves to set better appointments. So there's a term in business called opportunity cost, and that means what you give up to do something else. So if you're going on a bad listing appointment, then you're not prospecting or doing lead follow-up to find better ones. Okay. So the more confidence you have in your ability, the higher standards you're going to hold yourself to on the appointments you go on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good, good. Mike, you had a question.
Yeah, Gordon, it's a little bit different question. So in running a team, and let's say I love it that you're saying I need to qualify at a much higher level. I recognize that. And I say, well, this guy is, maybe 20% going to list, or it's not a great call with him. Should I hand that off to somebody on the team and just say, hey, go get some practice?
No.
Okay.
No, it's like Mike, I'm gonna be your boxing coach. And I'm gonna put you in the ring with Mike Tyson and let him beat the hell out of you. Okay? You gonna like me as a coach?
No, good analogy. Thank you.
Yeah. Good question. Any other questions?
Yes.
Please.
Thank you, first of all, for allowing me into your space. It's Tom here over in Vancouver.
Yeah, Tom.
And regarding mindset, you
Huh?
spoke a lot about that, and it's very important. Is there a daily practice that you would recommend that somebody would do every day? Sort of like, if you want to build a muscle, you got to exercise.
Absolutely.
What would be one for, like, to work on what you were talking about today?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you, Tom. So several things that you can do. Number one, I'm a big time reader, and I read with my ears. Anybody besides me read with your ears? I use Audible. Okay. And so I read a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I really, really try to control what is going in my mind. Okay. As well as what I said a moment ago, I try to control what comes out of my mouth. Okay. I try to be consciously aware of if I'm speaking something negative. Okay. And just not let anything come out of it. Sometimes it drives my family crazy because I just have certain standards. That's just the way that I am. I do not get into negative conversations. I just don't. I avoid them. I run from them because I know that the more I'm around it, the more it's going to pull me in that direction. And in the role that I'm in and being a coach for many of you guys and being a leader in this industry and running a team, I can't afford to have a negative mindset because I'm a role model. I'm an example to others, and I can't let myself go down that path. And so I just refuse it. So I avoid the negative and I consciously gravitate towards the positive. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So got time for one or two more?
How do you keep going? Because you have so much to do. I know that you say like you delegate, but honestly, you do have a lot of things to do. How do you beat that wave of sleepiness?
How do I beat the wave of sleep? Well, first of all, I try to get plenty of rest. Okay. Exercise, try to watch what I eat. Okay. But what's interesting? I find that you can think yourself into energy as well as you can think yourself into sluggishness. Okay. It's amazing what our mind can do. And we've got to get better and better at controlling it. Because those of you that have a goal of making $1 million or better a year, you've got to realize that your mind is your biggest asset and also your biggest liability. It's simply a tool that you've got to learn how to control. Great question. Any others? All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys being a part of today's call. And for those of you that are involved in Watson Powers coaching, thank you so much for being clients. And for those of you that are not, what the heck's wrong with you? Just kidding. Hey, we're here for you if we can help you. Again, my email, Gordon, Gordon, at watsonpowers.com. If you have any questions, if you want to set up a free coaching session, you let me know and we'll be happy to do it. Thanks for being here, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gordon.